Hey, what's going on YouTube? It is your boy Lycast. Alright, so this is my first official video on YouTube. You may see some other uploads in regards to different games like Gundam or some Tekken and stuff. And that's just some streams I did only for my friends. This is my first official YouTube video. And what I'm going to be talking about is a guide for this guy, Kiske. Right? And so we're gonna touch a little bit on the beginner stuff, but I want to get into more of the intermediate stuff that may be able to help you get to the next level. So if you're around floor 5 or so, floor 6, floor 7, floor 8, and you want to get to know this character and you want to progress up with him in Celestial, I would say stay tuned with this video. We're probably going to be talking about a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff. So I'll also give some a bit of my experience, what I've had with this character, some pros and some cons. And the first thing I'll tell you right now is that this character is trash.
It's not my hat, is it? No, it's not my hat.
Oh, you're indignant. Get me out, mate! Okay. Now you're making shit.
If you want to play Kiske, you have signed up for suffering. You're not gonna suffer as much as like this guy, or you're not gonna suffer as much as this guy, but you have chosen, right, the path of suffering, right? You can't pick Soul. You ain't picking a May, right? You ain't picking Leo and mixing everybody to death. You're gonna have to work, right? So this is the guide to help bring players who are interested in playing this character to the next level, right? And just so you know who I am, right? Let's back out, right? And me just going here, right? I'm gonna have to edit past this because you know how long it takes for this game to even get to the rankings or whatever. But just so you guys know what my rank is, right? I wouldn't say I'm the best Kai out there, but I would say I have played a lot of matches, and so I would say I have a good grasp. Now hold on, let me go ahead and cut through this. So I'm in the Celestial floor, right? And this is my rank. So I am rank 43, and Kai is my main. So I would say if you're interested in getting a higher level perspective on how things go, I say you come across the right video. So and just for y'all to see, I'm level 1000. All right, so I've been no-lifing. Okay, I have no life, right? So I might as well help somebody while I have no life. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna go over some basic concepts with this character, and then we'll go into some real-life examples about specific things that I want to touch on. But just know that you have signed up for a path of pain. All right. So before I get started on to what I think about Kai and all that and how to deal with certain things, right? The thing I would say about this character, or at least the way I think he was supposed to be designed, I think he was supposed to be an all-arounder that controls the mid-range. Is just that when you got buttons like these, they feel kind of slow compared to like the rest of the cast, right? Because while Kai is sitting here controlling mid-range, trying to put out buttons and stuff, you just, got a Mei that does a Totsugeki or Ramlethal that presses 5S, and they do the same thing, right? So it's a little weird. And also with this character, like, you'll throw out a fireball, okay, but the recovery is so long, so you kind of got to be careful. So here's the basic thing about Kai. I'm not going to go into this too far in depth, because I'm sure if you search up Kai Kiske beginner guide, you're going to find your mama, your grandma, your auntie, and your sister all made a video on a beginner guide for this character. So I'm not going to spend all day on what this character does, right? So I would say, right, this character is all about Shockstate. He has 2 moves that give Shockstate. Any projectile he throws, charge version or fast version, and Dire Enclared, his 2-on-4 slash, right? Like I said, this guy's a little intermediate, so I'm gonna be using the number notations. Like, I'm assuming that you already know them, okay? Main reason you want your opponent to be in shock state is because a lot of your special moves become less minus, or they actually become plus on block. So, for instance, like wheel kick, right? This move, right, when you do it regularly, right, and the opponent's not in shock state, it doesn't matter how hard I mash jab. Look at my inputs. After I wheel kick, the opponent will always beat me out if they mash 2P, right? So, but if they're in shock state, right, and then I go for it, I win, right? So the thing is with this character is that you have to put your opponent in shock state before you can really like run your offense, which isn't really much of a problem. You don't have to think about it once you get into it, right? So that's the basics for this character, right? Now, let's say you're at floor 5, floor 6. What can I do with this character that's going to help me move up the floors? It's very simple, right? If you look at other guides, right, they got other people like other YouTubers that tell you like moves to punish and moves to watch out for, and don't let other characters get away with this. I'm going to tell you how you get to floor 10, all right? You need to establish a flow chart, right? You need to establish offense, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Trying to teach a floor 5 player or a floor 6 player how to block, it just ain't going to happen. Y'all don't know how to block. Y'all can't block, right? So I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying it to be realistic. So now let's talk about flowcharts so you don't have to worry about the defense. So what a flowchart is something that you do consecutively that you're not thinking about it. It becomes a part of your game plan, and your opponent has to do something in order for you to think about it to shift you from doing it. So it's something that you would do automatically. Think about it as such as a combo, right? So when you practice combos, or when you do combos in an actual match, you're not thinking about the combo while you're doing it. It becomes muscle memory. So in a like manner for a flowchart, if I want to approach this other player, I'm going to put out my buttons that I normally press out to get an advantage in the situation. And that would probably be my 2S here, or my far heavy slash, like this. Just trying to fish for moves. This is flowcharting, and I'm correcting my spacing in order to get certain moves to work. So a 2K here would not work. It's fast, but it would not work at this distance. But if I come up close, I might flowchart and press 2K here because I know I get a combo with the dust. And so that's flowchart. Or I might press 2S at this mid-range. So basically, that's flowchart. Because the main problem for you getting into that floor 10 area is that you need to establish a strong offensive type game. The thing is, trying to teach how to block, like I touched on earlier, isn't very realistic, because you guys have a lot of bad habits, and working on your offense will help you change those a little bit. But especially against your opponents, they have bad habits, real bad ones, such as mashing during your block streams and stuff. So if you learn a good flowchart, you will blow people up from doing you and get to 40. Because the reality of the situation is, if you don't have a good flowchart, what you're going to end up doing is that you're going to end up dropping a lot of stuff. See, the problem with why you stuck of where you are right now, the problem is why are you stuck there, is because you keep dropping combos, you keep dropping confirms. It's not ingrained in your brain, it's not put into your heart. So you need to work on that, and you need to grind that out. Because in fighting games, I break this up into two categories. There's two categories. There's the part where you are fighting yourself, and this is what I call learning the game. You're learning what ranges your character can play at. You're learning at good space and things can work at, and you know, get in that proper plan to where you can execute your character's game plan. Right? This is the versus yourself. You're trying to make sure your execution is on point to where you don't have to think when you start doing something. Right? But then you got the second part, which is versus the opponent. And this is why fighting games are tough for new players, because not only are you learning execution and how to do things right yourself, you also got a person right on your screen, on the other side of the screen, that is ready to punish you with the 60 or 80% damage combo if they know what they're doing, and make you have hell to pay for just whiffing a button because you didn't know anything else. So this is why you have to know yourself, and then you'll be able to focus on how do I deal with certain characters? How do I stop their offense? Because a lot of times against these, in this 4 or 5 area, they may know a little bit, but they don't know enough. And so if you know yourself more, you will definitely end up overpowering them in the neutral. You don't even have to worry about countering their character specifically, because the second you get started on your offense, you'll be able to keep them there the rest of the game, because they don't know proper answers. They don't know defense. And for them, right, even though you don't know defense either, they don't know their character as well as you. So you can end up jumping out and getting escape, luckily, because they're leaving too many gaps. They don't have a proper flowchart. So I hope that helps. Okay, now we're going to talk about getting to know yourself. This is very important if you're like a 4 or 5 player and you don't know what buttons to press in order to get certain results. So here I'm going to show you a couple of things on what to go for, and so that you can get an advantageous position. So what I'm going to talk about here is combos, and what combos teach you is that they teach you what to go for in a match, because you don't want to just be pressing things and just seeing what works. You want to know what buttons you're pressing and why you're pressing. So good rule of thumb is when you're sitting up breathing on your opponent like this and you're out of grab range, you don't really use heavy attacks, because they'll lose to like P and then they'll lose to like K. Both of these moves are faster. They come out faster than any heavy move would, right? So let's say you're up here and you're outside of grab range. What do I press? What combo do I use? So one combo that you need to learn is 2P into 6P into 214S. And it also works with the standing jab, so 5P, 6P, 214S. That's also useful, but let's say you're outside of jab range. What's going to work here? Well, one thing that could work is kicking. So you can do kick into down dust into 214S. And this also gives a hard knockdown, so you can really run up and close slash after this. Pretty useful. And let's say you're outside of kicking and you're outside of punching range. What do? You can use slash into stun dipper, which is 236K. This is really good as well for, especially at round start. That's actually a very good option. And the last thing I want to teach you is a combo. Let's say outside of both of those ranges, and then outside of this range, 6S, 6 heavy slash is your furthest reaching normal, and you can start a combo from that on counter hit. It doesn't combo on regular hit at max range. It does if you're a bit closer, and especially if you're next to a wall. But why I really like this move and why I think it's Kai's best button is because it's easy to frame trap with. So I have the opponent, if you look here on my settings, I have him set to act on crouching P after a block. So after block, he's going to do the fastest normal he can do. And so a natural frame trap, which is basically a frame trap, for those of you that don't know, is when you press a button and the opponent basically has to respect your frames, because moves in these games, moves in a fighting game, they come out in a certain amount of frames. It's called frame data. I'm not trying to talk about it to a great length. But if you do 5K in a 6 heavy slash, it's always a counter hit no matter what button they press, unless they DP. And let's be honest, ain't nobody DPing this. There's too much of a risk. So if you 5K into 6 heavy slash, it's a frame trap, which leads to some big damage combos like this. And I'll leave the notations for this down, but if you want to talk about optimization and perfect things to do, I'm not going into that great length. You can also do it, you can do wheel kick instead of the 214KS, and it still works. Just drop the combo there, like that, and you can get a combo all the same. So it just depends on your preference. I mean, 20 damage is a big deal, but at this point, at this stage of the game, it's do what is easiest for you. You can worry about optimizing later. Like, you can worry about defense later, you can worry about optimizing this at a later time. And the last thing you want to combo off of, which I think is a very good move, it is Stun Dipper. Stun Dipper is very good. Sometimes it whiffs and it acts funky. I'll get into that later, but Stun Dipper, if you Stun Dipper and you hit the thing, you can run up with Red Roman Cancel and you will break the wall 9 times out of 10. So if you can learn how to do a Stun Dipper combo, this actually isn't the most optimal one, but it's the easiest one that I know of. That will actually be great. So those are some things you can do to get started, to get to know yourself and feel comfortable with Kai. Really, one thing that you're really going to need to learn about this game is, we're now about to get to the intermediate side, right? Is you're going to need to learn how to abuse this move, 6P. This move, 6P, right, shuts down anti-airs, but it's in a great way, unlike a lot of other characters. Like if Chip 6Ps you, he flies you across, he kind of gets a knockdown, but I mean, he still has the momentum. But this character, man, he can set up a fireball on you. Right? Let me tell you why. Because you can will kick and you can set up your offense just like that, right? You can also start off with Dire Enclair and start your offense that way. So, right? And I'm on them. The beauty of this is, when you're in the corner, you can actually get a full combo from this, right? You see what I'm saying? And again, that wasn't fully optimized for the situation, but if you understand, as long as you can punish your opponent for jumping, right, you're causing them to think twice. There's some techniques that you're gonna need to learn, so this is still intermediate. So if you're not aware of these little techniques, this is where the tech comes in at. So this is where the actual, I would say, I wouldn't call it hard. I would just call it, if you've never done this before, it's going to require some practice. So one thing with this character that you have to do, right? His grounded projectile is booty butt, booty butt, booty butt.
Wait. I know that song. Magnificent.
Because look at that, look at how long he takes, bro. I've never seen a projectile where you just like your arm straight out like this. All right, look at him. Look at him, arm straight out, still struggling with the fireball, bro. Like, bro, you ain't throw nothing heavy, bro. But here you got Soul, like they just bust out a bandit bringer, bro, and the dude come down with such force, and he land on the ground instantly, and there's no delay. There's no delay if he whips it or nothing, right? This move is so bad, you throw it out, right? You throw it out. This dude had enough time to make a sandwich and look at that, bro. Look at that, bro. This dude had enough time after he dodged it, right, to make a sandwich and still get a counter hit on me, bro. Not a punish, and it's a punish. It is a punish, bro. This dude got a counter hit, which means I couldn't do nothing. I could be holding back, right? This dude had enough time to cook breakfast, make a sandwich, and still counter hit me, bro. This move is trash. So but it gives Shockstate, so you want to throw it out, right? And don't even get me started on all the characters that can low profile, right? So so how do you circumvent this as a Kai? This is one of the issues that you're gonna deal with, right? Just throwing this out. I throw this out sparingly. In fact, I throw it out as a surprise because of how bad it is, bro. It's so bad, it's gotta be a surprise, right? It can't even be a real thing. So here's the thing, right? How do we circumvent this and make Kai's projectile actually useful? If I do the grounded one, he can sandwich, go to the store, come back, and still get a counter hit on me, right? You feel me? So, and he does that fireball late, right, when I timed the recording on him. So how do we go about this? Now, you can do his air ones, but look, most of you guys are probably doing this. You're probably jumping and then airball, throwing the fireball, whatever his technical name is for this move, 236X or 236 heavy slash. Well, there's a technique if you're new to fighting games. It's called Tiger Knee, right? And you know how you do the 2-3-6 input in slash, or 2-3-6 heavy slash, right? The heavy slash version in the air goes like this. So what you do is you press 2-3-6 and then you press 9, right? Look at my inputs. I'm gonna clear it up. Whoops, mess it up. Look at that. You see that? Look at how clean that is. So look at the start at the bottom. My first input is 2. Then it goes to 3. Then it goes to 6, which is 4. Then it goes to 9. Now I accidentally rolled my arcade stick to 8 and pressed heavy slash, but I still got it because I'm a G and the game loves me, right? So there you go. You press 2-3-6, 9, and right when you go to 9, right when you move your stick up to 9, then you press heavy slash. And you'll be able to get a tiger knee. That's what the technique is called. I don't know where it originated from, but you tiger knee it. And it's so much better in neutral. And the reason being is because you do it and you're back on the ground, right? And it comes down at such an angle to where if they jump, it has a probability of hitting them. It's not a big projectile, so I've seen people go in the air and avoid it. But it's still pretty good. It's much better than doing this. And you take, he got grandma legs and can't move, right? So you're much better off doing this repeatedly. And you can change it up if you think they're going to run in to a tiger need this. And you can start playing around with hovering in the air and doing it too. But just know, it's not like a Soul Bandit Bringer where you run it with no risk. Because when you're landing, it still has big counter hit, right? See, I landed and I can still get counter hit. So you kind of want to do this further away from the screen. You want to do it further away from the screen where you're not at risk from getting wrecked, right? And you know how Souls, they'll do the Solar Viper or whatever they call it and go underneath your projectile and wreck you when you do the grounded one in that matchup? Well, you don't have to worry about that as much when you do the air one. Souls, they don't tend to do that in response because technically when you jump up, you can be doing anything. You can dash back, or you can dash forward. You see what I'm saying? It's so you're not gonna get low profile doing this a lot unless you become very particular. Another thing I want to talk on is this garbage move called Stun Dipper. Bruh. Bruh. The reason why I had to show you guys that montage, because Stun Dipper could literally be the difference between you winning a round and losing a round. If you mess up the execution on this, like I showed you those examples, easy 60% for your opponent. Nothing you can do about it either. It's punishable. There's no input I could have done. So the way it works is that with Stun Dipper, you have to land it at a certain range, and that's the only way that it works. But the way how Kai's combos work is that there's so much pushback, sometimes randomly, to where you don't know, and this is just something that you're gonna have to practice. But in my personal opinion, now this is I know this is a guy, but I'm gonna give you an opinion. I think Stun Dipper, when it's on counter hit, it should always land both of the hits. That should never happen. I feel like it should always land both of the hits because this game is so unga bunga. You got characters like May that just spammed off, and even if they whiff, there's no punishment, no nothing. It's so quick. And then you got characters like Soul. I showed you the example of him doing 3 Bandit Bringers in a row. Why would he do something like that? Because the move is ridiculous. And so for a game that requires so unga bunga, that's so unga bunga, why does this move have to have such a high requirement? It's not like when you land it, they get a hard knockdown. You see, he's able to tech. If I do a dust, he can't tech. It's a hard knockdown. But if I do this, it's still... So I'm not trying to ramble all day, but Stun Dipper to me is almost in the category of Dragon Stall. Why would you ever use this thing? This thing is terrible. Now I ain't gonna get into it too much in this video. This is supposed to be a guide, but just know, beware of using Stun Dipper and really practice this to where you never get blown up for doing it. And if you do make an execution error, make sure that you have 50 meter on you always, just to make up for it, because this is a huge risk. Please please, Arxus, if you hear me, please buff Stun Dipper.
Because I know somewhere deep down in my heart, I still love you.
When you play this character, you'll come across certain little habits and certain little tidbits that you should be able to exploit. Like, I'll give you guys something little, a little gem, right? You know how we talked about Tiger kneeing this, right? When we Tiger knee that, well, if they block it, they're in shock state. You're trying to get them in shock state. And so what you can do in that, in neutral, you don't want to do it all the time, otherwise you become predictable, right? Predictable. Is that you can do that, right? You can do the kick, the wheel kick, the 2-1-4 kick. And when you land that, and what I've noticed, when you land it on counter hit a lot of the times, right? People burst on the first hit, and you have enough time. This only works on counter hit, but they tend to burst it on counter hit, and then you can get a combo for it, right? People tend to do that. So every time you wheel kick in your combo, and you don't have to do something immediate, so say like, right? So say I hit him with this, you see? People tend to burst after wheel kick a lot of the times in your combos. So like if I have him in the corner and I hit him with the 6HS like I talked about, I'll do this and I'll wait and I'll send some examples, right? And you'll really make people pay for that, right? If anti-Kai, if you ever want to burst against an experienced Kai, it's probably not a good idea to burst after wheel kick, right? People tend to do it all the time. And also after Stun Dipper, right? Say you red RC, so that counts as 2. I gotta set this to like 4. So say you Stun Dipper, right? Oh, too late. Right? People also, experienced players in Celestial, right? They don't burst red Roman cancel, or if they do, they time it for right when they think you're about to attack during the red Roman cancel. But that's a little risky because you might fully commit and just hold down back like this, right? So what they do is they wait for the first hit after the Roman cancel, and then you can jump. You can jump your close slash because it's jump cancelable, and punish the bait like that, right? And this is also jump cancelable, but I mean you only do that for like blue Roman stuff. But I haven't found much of a use for it myself. This character is so reliant on meter, right? That you find yourself using red Roman for stuff like this. For instance, this is one, right? Whether they block this or hit this, it doesn't matter. Whether they block the wheel kick or not. So what I'm doing is that I'm fast RCing into the heavy slash, but when you do it so low, it doesn't. It's the same concept if you guys watch that Airdash video where you do that and you can fake people out. I do that after a hard knock. I'm just giving you guys some tips here, just some extras, just some miscellaneous, right? Right? I'll do that after that because it's a hard knockdown. That's not going to work on a noob who's only used to mashing buttons, but you get them to think, because what happens at a lot of times at high level plays after a hard knockdown or for a wall break, people do this a lot. So you just play on that same concept. You're like, my G, what am I gonna do? Am I actually gonna swing it out this time, or am I gonna, am I gonna be a savage? And you know what I'm saying? So I'll show you some gameplay, and then I'll also commentate on some matches if you guys are interested. Continue watching, but that's pretty much it for Kai. I know I did a lot of talking and I showed a couple of examples, right? But this character really is booty cheeks. Now, let's go and have some matches. So, alright, let's go look for an opponent. This is a Potemkin. And you know how this game is. And there's that delay. Oh, a level 1000 player. I gotta sit there and record and all this stuff. It's trouble. Anyway, so this is a Leo player, right? as a Kai, you're gonna have to play some good defense. It requires it, and especially against this character that can blow you up. Alrighty, from this point in, I'm gonna give a little bit of post commentary. I didn't like some of my live commentary that I gave. I had a lot of couldn't get complete thoughts. It's kind of difficult. So this time I'm going to be giving a bit of post commentary. And I watched this match and I want to point out a couple things that I had done as the Kai to basically things that you should be paying attention to. So at the start of the round, I can't skip this for the replay. But at the start of the round, I typically start with 2S. And now a Leo can beat this if he does his little drop kick because it goes over the 2S. But 2S is such a good round start tool, and I don't see a lot of people contest it. There's a couple characters that can beat me, like Foss 2P or Potemkin's 2P. They can beat it. But generally, against a lot of characters, this is a good round start. For most characters to counter this, they have to back up a little bit and then whiff punish it. But that's only after they know that you're going to do it, if that makes sense. So I like to start up the match with 2S, and if they jump at you against a lot of characters, you get to anti-air. So this Leo, he didn't know me. This is our first match. So he backed up. And he jumps at me, and I use the Airdash check. Again, pretty advanced. I'll show you how to do it after this, which allows me to get a close slash, which allows me to bring him to the corner and fireball. So now I got the pressure on him, and he DP'd. And I'm holding in this information as I'm fighting him. I was like, okay, he DP'd, and I confirmed that he likes to attack during my streams because I just got a counter hit 214S right there. So now I'm dealing with pressure because I let him escape out the corner pretty poorly. He's going to break the wall on me here. I probably should have bursted so I don't have to deal with his tension buff and deal with my HP loss. I faked him out into a grab there from a red RC. I backed up there thinking he was going to DP, and he didn't. So I reset the situation. I tried the anti-air with down two heavy slash. But the thing is about that move is that sometimes you're going to tie with the opponent because it comes out pretty slow. I mean, it's a heavy slash move. So thankfully we traded there, but I probably should have gone with 6P. I was like, man, this guy really loves to DP out of my streams. And right there is what I was talking about. Remember how I talked about in the previous clip that you set that up after a red Roman cancel, you press 2S and you jump, right? Even if you jump and they fail, you still get a hard knockdown. I knew I needed 2 catches to end the game anyway, so I went for the burst bait. Had he not have bursted, I would have had to catch him again regardless because the combo I was doing wouldn't have killed anyway. So that's the mindset that I have when I'm going for burst baits, if that helps. And that's the round game. So you start off with the side switch raw. And so here's the thing about this round that I just want to show you real quickly. Man, I can't skip this. This is ridiculous. So here's the thing about this round. If you see the technique I'm using the Tiger Knee projectile to initiate shock state. I'm not doing the ground one. So when I want to initiate shock state from a distance, I use this. And now I got shock state again, so I come in with the wheel kick. This can be DP, so if they think that you're gonna do it, they can, but it's a risk because you don't always have to come in that way. You can do a safe jump, so they risk it. And so I'll go for a tick throw. Kai's pressure is very and there you go, knowing that he likes to mash, drop the combo, which unfortunately. But Kai's pressure is very strike and throw based. And here I get command grab. And again, I gotta deal with this because I let him out the corner, but I read the grab and then finished him off. Remember how I talked about comboing off a stun dipper? Red RC? That's what I did right there. So now we'll go on to the next match. Looking at the second match. So you start off with the round start 2, the 2S. He's gonna burst here. Nothing I could have done about that because I didn't hit him with the wheel kick. So nothing I could have done about that. XP keeping him in that corner. He read the wheel kick coming, and I did the frame trap there when I told you about the kick 6HS to break the wall and get a combo from it. It's stuff like that because I know his habit. Again, another DP. And he's never grabbed on wake up, so I'm gonna DP here and then end the round. I tried to do a tiger knee, messed up. Ended up getting the little kick, but luckily I was able to block in time, and luckily he DP'd out of panic. There you go, me CP 6P mashing, wake up throw just to beat the DP. Tried to grab again. That moment right there, I knew that he had a high probability of bursting because the combo I was going to do was going to kill him. So I purple RC, which means for the stun dipper, I purple RC, and then I burst baited it. I just ended up dropping the combo. But it's getting a nice read and knowing, like, he had the burst there, or he had a high probability of doing it because his HP was low. And so I ended around with an anti-air and an OTG. You see how being solid gets you a lot of wins? Right? He panics under pressure, which is why he DPs a lot. He doesn't know the answer to God. And he's in Celestial. This guy is a Celestial player, right? You look on the replay list, it says ranked tower, Celestial floor. I'm not BSing you guys. A lot of these, I'm not dogging your character if you play these characters, but if you're like a Leo, a Ram main, a Soul main, these characters, their offense is so oppressive, they don't know how to deal with defense themselves. So when you get them in that situation, you can overrun them. This guy is proof that a solid offensive game will definitely get you into Celestial. Celestial isn't that grand. I should put it like that. And you see there, I used the Tiger Knee into the 214K and raw and neutral, and I was able to get the combo from that. If he had blocked it, I would have been plus because, you know, he was in Shockstate. So that pressure string I did with the charge projectile, that only works when people are scared of you. They can press a button and they can counter hit you. But it works a lot because when you have people in a corner, they're kind of hesitant for a second. And I didn't think he was going to DP at that very moment. But I DP, gave him a taste of his own medicine, ran up through afterwards. And now I know he's got burst, so I'm waiting for it, and he never used it. And that's wraps on for now as for in practice matches. That was just the layer that I had fought. And not practice matches, example matches. Alrighty, now here's for the final piece. I call this, I think this is a little bit advanced. Just because you have to do it consistently and it requires a certain timing. I would say right now I'm about even 80% of pulling it off in my matches currently. But you know, it's only been 2 weeks, so with time I'll get it. But I finally found the YouTuber in last minute post editing. And his name is xSuperKawaiiDesu, or I think I said it right. xSuperKawaiiDesu. So his name is xSuperKawaiiDesu. His video up on the screen right now, so go ahead and make sure you check that out, and I'll leave a link in the description because he'll go more in depth on this. I'm going to touch on it lightly. So the thing with this is, it makes Kai actually usable because you know how. Let's say you want to side switch. I want to jump over the opponent and then I want to press slash because heavy slash obviously isn't going to come out in time. So I'm going to jump over him and then I'm going to slash. But you see how long that takes? But with the Airdash FDC, if you cast Faultless Defense in the air, you fall down faster. And at certain ranges, like in those practice matches, for example, I'll show them here. I used it right at the start of actually the first match, and you would see that I got a close slash after it, after the Leo got hit by, I don't know if he backdashed or if he jumped, but it still works. This is a super effective technique. And what it really allows you to do is that, let me set him to not block. What it really allows you to do is that it allows you to get a safe jump after that. I did a little bit late there. Right, and you can get a safe jump after that if your execution is on point. It takes some work, so you can push them on screen, get a safe jump, and a lot of times after I get the safe jump, I go for a throw if they block the slash. It's very effective, and another reason why I like this technique, I'll just show you my personal uses, but if you want to know how to execute it, how to do it, and how to be more, I'll go through it. It's a certain timing you have to get used to. You can't put FD right when you jump. You kind of have to wait a little bit for the Airdash animation. For those of you that don't know, when you try this out, it's a timing. You're gonna have to get it down. But another use that I like to use for it is that after you ball break, typically what you see people do, this is very common, is that after you do this, they do a heavy. Right? Well, I like to fake this out. Okay, now, if the opponent knows you're going to do this, they'll probably backstep on wake up, so be careful. It doesn't work all the time. And I'll do that. So what I did here is that I jumped, FD, and then I did a heavy. Right? And the heavy, because you go down faster, the heavy never gets a chance to come down. And so it leads to some funky mix-ups. There's more mix-ups in that video, and examples that he has used in the video, so I'm not going to go through all of it. But that's just one of the ones that I like to do. And that's basically it. You don't need this technique to get through Celestial or whatever, but it will enhance your gameplay. And I've implemented it and I've seen the results. I quite like it. In fact, I don't find myself jumping in heavy anymore unless I want to do that afterwards. So that's it for Kiske. We've been here for 40 minutes. It's been a long journey. I appreciate you guys watching the whole thing. If you guys watched this all, I really do appreciate it. This is my first video. I was actually learning how to edit in the midst of making this video. So please let me know what you guys think. I would like to know how it turned out. Alright, thank you for watching. Alright, bro. I'm about to head out.